There are times that I wanted to go somewhere, and then that day, all of a sudden, it started raining heavily, and it wasn't forecasted to rain that much. Now, to the common person, to the average person, they could have just said, well, it's just rain. But I understood that that wasn't just rain. That was God speaking to me. The rain was symbolic of don't go. That's what that rain was symbolic of for me. I knew that God was speaking to me through the rain. To the average person, it was just, just another rainy day. But I know you got to understand the ways that God speaks to you through your circumstance. Maybe you wanted to go somewhere, and as you're walking out your house, you get in your car and you realize that you forgot your car keys. And that's something that don't typically happen to you. You always know where your car keys are. You always have them with you. But this one particular time that you wanted to go somewhere, now all of a sudden you can't find your car keys. So what do? You can do one or two things. And I've had this happen to me both ways. I've had a time when I was obedient. I recognized that was God speaking to me not to go somewhere. And I didn't bother looking for my keys. And guess what? Seconds later, after I made the decision that I wasn't going, I found the keys. But God was speaking to me, don't go, don't go. And I've had the same situation, and you probably have too, where you can't find your car keys. And this is not something that typically happens to you. But instead of you paying attention and saying, okay, God, this is not just me losing or not able to find my car keys. This is something deeper. You go looking for the keys. You spend 15, 20, 30 minutes looking for the keys. You find those keys. You go, and something happens. And after something happens, you look back and say, oh my goodness, now I see why I wasn't supposed to be at this place. So there are signs in your circumstances that you need to pay attention to. You got to pay just those little things. But if you don't pay attention to them, you're going to miss it. And you're going to fall in the trap that the devil said, look, God have everything you need. God wants the best for you. So when your circumstances change, trust in God's sovereignty. Be flexible and seek his wisdom in the new situation. You got to be flexible. So let's say, for example, with the same one I used about the car keys. You're not a person that loses their car keys often. It rarely happens to you. And now all of a sudden your car keys are missing. Don't just go find them keys and jump into whatever you had to do. Stop and say, okay, God, you're speaking to me. You see, we think that when God speaks to us, there's going to be an angel come, and say, hey, man of God, don't go anywhere. Stay. It don't work that way. You go back and you say, okay, Lord, you just spoke to me. You thank God. Don't force it. Number 5, confirmation from others. Proverbs 11:14 says, where no counsel is, the people fall. But the multitude of counselors, there is safety. There is safety in the multitude of counselors. There is safety when you're able to talk to people that will give you advice so you can see things that you are missing. You got to be able to talk to people that help you see the blind spots in your life. All of us have blind spots. A blind spot is a perspective that you don't see. A blind spot is a perspective that you never think of on your own. Not because you're not smart, but just because your mind is wired in a different way. There are times, even for me, that my kids have been my blind spot watcher. There are times when I don't see certain things, and they'll say, oh, Dad, remember this? Or Dad, can you this? And it'll just, that light bulb will come like, oh, wow, thank you so much for bringing that up. And I'm like, I'm so grateful. So you need people that will be there to see the blind spots that you have. You don't see everything. You don't know everything. There are people that you can't tell them anything. The moment you say something to them, they'll tell you, oh, I know. But I'm forever grateful for those that God has sometimes allowed them to reveal those blind spots to me. especially my kids, because sometimes I don't see everything. I don't know everything. But they'll say, Dad, they give me different ways to look at things sometimes that I don't normally see. And then that light bulb comes in. So you need to be around people that will see things that you don't see. They will look at things from a different perspective that you don't look at things from. Stop being so prideful and boastful like you know everything. You don't know everything. Nobody knows everything but God. So when you seek counsel, be open to correction. Be open to people saying, you know what? You shouldn't have did it this way. Be open to what the scripture says. Most people don't like criticism. I have no problem with constructive criticism because it is going to help me be a better version of who God has called me to be. Some people, you can't give them feedback about anything. All they want to hear are the positive things. All they want to hear is how great they are, how magnificent. They are the best to ever do anything. They just want to hear everything great. You will never grow when all that you hear are the great things you do.